Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 2 vs 2 on Black Forest, and I'm going to be playing with the 82nd Airborne Division. This was a fantastic game that I just had to share with you guys, so definitely make sure to sit back, relax and enjoy this one because it was awesome. The game's already underway. I'm going to be setting off with a bunch of my airborne units. I've got a mix of airborne fire teams with dragons. We've got the airborne engineers with flash launchers. We've got airborne military police with M67 recoilless launchers. And we've got some airborne engineers with satchels as well. And I'm just going to be spreading them out across the front. I'm also going to be accompanying myself with some sniper teams. So snipers are now in WARNO, and we're going to be seeing them in action today. So that was the main reason that I wanted to try out this division, was to get those airborne snipers to work. On the right hand side, we're just going to be defending my flank here with a couple of airborne military police, and you can see that I've capped this early with an airborne leader, which I'm probably going to chuck back into the Humvee at some point, and we'll get it up onto the hill so that we can contest this sector as well. What is that we hear? It's an A10 from my teammate Akarachai, coming in with the A10 Thunderbolt 2, which has Maverick missiles. He's going for the shots onto the Razvedka there. Also the Mi-24V, and following up with the kill onto the Mi-2. Very nicely done. Unfortunately, MiG's going to be taking it out the sky. Cool to hear it brute at least once though, so that was fun. And the engagement begins. So yeah, just going to be trying to focus on the snipers today, but this was also just a fantastic overall 82nd Airborne game that I really wanted to show you guys. So here's my sniper. He's going to be traveling all the way over these mountains in order to get to a position where he can provide me with recon onto enemy advancing forces. And that information allows me to react a lot sooner to what my opponent is bringing. So that is the plan with this sniper team. This sniper team is just going to be supporting my forces by providing fire at range with the M24. And then I've got this sniper also doing a similar job on this left hand side. Now snipers, they're not very resilient. If they start to get shot at, they will die very quickly. But they do pack a punch at range. They have 1,400 meter range against infantry, and over time they will start to do a decent chunk of damage. Every shot will kill a man, and you can really do a lot of damage to enemy infantry squads over a long period of time. AH-1F Heavy Hog's going to be joining us on the field here. That's going to be getting into position to shoot down into the valley. I am going to be having to dodge these igloos that are firing my way. So you can see here I'm purposefully kind of moving it this direction so that it is lower than the hill in front of it. And that way I can, micro it into a better position when I need to. But first of all, we've got to clean out that AA. So here go the airborne engineers and their flash launchers and their satchels. I was going to try and push in there, but then I saw the advancement of all of the vehicles, and none of these have AT, so I've got to be really, really careful. Now we're playing against MBK. He's going to be using the 79th Guards, so I am going to need some close range AT to deal with his tanks, and the only real option that I have is just standard airborne with AT4s, or I can use the recoilless, or I can use the dragons, but the dragons are more for open range engagements. I do have TOW2s as well, but they're again more for the open range engagements, so they're not going to be as useful in this situation, but you'll see me bring one in later on, which will do relatively well. Anyway, AH-64 Apache arriving alongside the Heavy Hog, and we're going to just be waiting here ready to engage them. So getting my airborne leader unloaded into the sector, which is good. So that's going to contest and make sure things stay even on the points here. And now I'm just waiting for the airborne to arrive. So these are the standard airborne squads. They come with AT4s. And once they arrive, that's when shit's going to hit the fan. So be ready, guys, because it really, really takes off. The stingers are going to be coming in here as well. I did already bring in some extra stingers. I didn't actually bring in any AA from the start, and that was almost a mistake. But here we can see my sniper coming through the cover here. And he bumps into a UAZ. He manages to take it out. But he loses his poor teammate. Just like in Shooter. So now he is a lone wolf. And he's going to have to find his way across the mountain on his own. Now for now, I thought, you know what? I'm going to put him over here and he can provide overwatch on the right road. Just to make sure that there's nothing coming down here. Obviously I do have the M67 military police there as well. But yeah, this sniper's a good early warning for me. He's got his buddy's M14 now on his back. Looks really cool. Gotta love the graphics. Now, I did notice another UAZ KPV on the right hand side here, so I was a little bit wary that he was sneaking his own infantry around my flank. So I'm gonna have the AH-1F now do a little bit of a patrol around here, giving it plenty of attack move orders to go around here. The airborne engineers, they're going to be engaging the motorazvedka, using that flash launcher to great effect. Moving forwards, these airborne engineers to engage as well, but I don't want to be shot at by the BMP-1 while I do this, so I'm making sure to go across the cover like this rather than run straight towards them, because otherwise he can get shots in here. So you can see I'll continuously micro these round. Unfortunately, MIA does get some good hits on target there onto the airborne engineers as they start to run up the slope. And at this point, yeah, I'm still trying to move it in a way in which I can pull a line of sight away from the BMP-1 and continue the engagement with the Razvedka. Then I won't take as much suppression. So the airborne are in position now. They're going to be moving through to sweep through any vehicles that are in the close cover. And then I'm going to be moving up afterwards with the airborne engineers to sweep through any infantry that gets in my way. Now, airborne, or basically launchers in general, have been nerfed recently. So in close quarters, like infantry with their AT weapons now take 2 seconds to aim. It has been nerfed. So you have to be a little bit careful not to throw in your infantry piecemeal, like one by one. Like a single infantry unit with an AT weapon won't be able to just like 1v1 a tank in close cover now. You really need to make sure you have at least 1 or 2, or well 2 or 3, sorry, I would say, because that way you're able to find the side shots you need, and also you'll actually be able to fire before you get stunned, or at least 1 or 2 of your squads will, unless they're all on top of each other, of course, and they take mixed suppression. But yeah, we got the engagement off here. I had to end up falling back because, of course, they got damaged. And the best thing to do in any infantry engagement really is try and preserve as many troops as possible, so that you bring them back, you use supply to get them resupplied, and then you go from there. On the left-hand side, I have brought in an OH-58 and an Apache to deal with the leader that our opponent put in there. But now we see the engagement begin. So, airborne going to be leading the charge with the airborne engineers following up. Ideally, my airborne engineers here with the satchels want to be running through them and dropping the satchel charges on their face. Now my M1 IP, it was engaging a tank on the left hand side, had to smoke that off and pull it back while I was managing this engagement. You see artillery now coming in from our opponent. Nicely timed artillery as well. It's definitely going to make things a bit more difficult for me. And the airborne engineers now moving forwards. And my Apaches also come forwards. So M1 IP manages to find a nice hit into the T-80 BBK. And now the Apache is just unleashing rockets on it. Getting it 30 mil on target as well. Engaging the Sapere. Very good. And now what I'm going to be doing is starting to pull back a lot of my airborne. So I have brought up a bunch of supply trucks. They're ready to go. I've also brought up a Cobra with the ATAS Cobra, which has the air-to-air stingers. That's going to be looking to take out the MI2. M1 IP manages to get a shot onto the T62. That was good. I am going to lose another squad here, unfortunately. But still pulling back. More airborne have arrived. Oh, look at this engagement. It's absolutely gorgeous. And my Avenger does come up. It takes out the Mi-8 there. My M1 IP. It was facing the wrong way when it smoked, so it ended up staying in front of the smoke. And gets itself killed. A little bit unfortunate for me. You see a lot of these troops now are shifting back towards the supply, and getting them resupplied and then pushing back forwards is really important, because what that allows us to do is basically get more value out of our troops than he does. So he didn't decide to like run away with his infantry and get it resupplied after the engagement. He let the infantry die, and then my infantry, I was slowly moving them back one by one so that I could get them all fixed up. A little bit worried about, of course, the Iglas engaging my helicopter, but going to be committing to the kill onto the Mi-2. Unfortunately, 3 of those missiles missing. So the Mi-2 is going to get away from it with it for now, but fortunately managed to get the Hydra rockets on target of the Igla, so we pin it, and I'm able to pull that back in the meantime. So this Apache now coming up. This one has Hellfire missiles. Going to be looking to try and deal some damage to the T-80BV. You can see I have just purchased an F-111F. Now the plan with the F-111 was to obviously hit these tanks that we see, because that's one way that I can do so. But his artillery definitely caused me problems right now. On the left-hand side, finally deal with this command. Hakarache had to bring in his own helicopter in the end, because I actually forgot that I brought in my own, which was a little embarrassing. But over here, you can see my sniper now being hunted by an Mi-2. You know what he's going to do? He's going to start shooting it, just like in the movie. And takes it down. What a boss. So he killed the UAZ. He's now killed the Mi-2. And he's getting a little bit closer to completing his mission of getting to the cover on the top side so that we have recon. Now an Su-25 coming in with the rockets. Going to be smashing my poor airborne unit. It's going to try and get some AT-4s off before it gets killed. But otherwise, my Apache now getting into position. And you can see that all of these units are getting topped up by the supply. So I've got the ATAS, I've got the rocket Apache ready. We're getting into a good position here, that's for sure. T-80BV going to be taking a Hellfire shot to the face. That one going to be following up, and the Apache finds the kill. Very nice indeed. Now I'm going to be fire positioning the Apache onto the position where we saw the Igla come from. So I can't see the Igla. I'm just firing blindly with fire position. You can see another shot comes out there further to the left. So I'm going to be fire positioning that afterwards, see if I can hit it with the rockets and stop it from harassing my Apaches. This Apache also got shot at. You saw it drop the flares. Very cool indeed. So I moved that off to the side, because this one's really expensive, so I don't want to lose this one. I mean, I don't want to lose this one either, but this one's the expensive one, so that's the one I want to keep alive. Those Hellfire missiles are really, really important for dealing with the enemy tanks. MiG-23 coming over. Going to get fired at by tons of manpads, but don't manage to find the kill. But still going to lose that for AH-1F as the as the Igla finds the kill. So now the TOW2 has come in. I saw like a really nice position here that I could potentially use it, and that will allow me to cover the main road and potentially kill off any tanks. And if he tries to put anything over here, it's always going to be in line of sight of this TOW2 from the side of the tree line. The other thing you can see is going on right now is the BMP2s have come in on my flank here. I'm going to have to clean them up. MBK's kind of snuck them round on my left side. The Apache's going to come over, start rocketing those. Meanwhile, my units trying their best to hold the ground, but the Dragon, rather lackluster, honestly. No artillery coming in for those man pads. I don't have to be too worried about there being AA this far up, so that's why I'm being like super aggressive with the AH-64 and the Scout. The 30mm will just demolish them. And those rockets finishing off the Motostrałki. Lovely stuff. This airborne engineer is already engaged in the Igla, so that's good. So I'm just going to be charging that down. And my infantry still having a good engagement on that right hand side. But here comes the Su-25, going to wipe my airborne engineers, or at least one of the squads there. Artillery coming in on top once again, and really playing with fire here with this AH-64. It was lucky he only had like one Igla at a time. Ideally you want to have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 or 5, since one Stinger squad, for example, costs 45 points, and this Apache is what, 240 points? So you can have 4 Iglas, roughly, maybe a couple more, or maybe one more, for the same price as an Apache. So that's kind of the sort of ratio you want to be going with to make sure that you reliably kill them. Just bringing them out one by one like this allows me to actually face tank with the Apache, which sounds silly, but you can do it. It's M1 IP. Trying to take care of the Motostrałki before it dies. Do manage to pop the smoke and get out of there as I noticed that occurring. Yeah, my opponent MBK still getting more commanders into this sector, and unfortunately for my teammate on the left, he's under a lot of pressure here at the moment. So I'm just trying to keep the pressure on my side. I can play around my infantry quite well here. I just need to get eyes onto wherever this leader is. So that's why I'm moving up the sniper. And when I see it, we can commit. Now, another thing that I'm setting up here is you can see all the little birds coming in. So the little birds are here for one reason, and one reason only. And that is to bait enemy AA. So my plan was basically send the little birds forwards first, reveal the positions of the enemy AA, and then move in with the Apaches and the Cobra behind to kill them off. So here goes. We just killed the Tunguska, so I felt like this was a better time than any. The TOW2 finding a really, really good line of sight. Unfortunately, the first going to be going down, and the others following up. Well, one shot from an Igla can shoot these little birds down. We're going to be spotting that Igla up on the side there. We take that out. We're going to be targeting that one, take it out. This little bird, unfortunately, taking a lot of damage from the machine guns and infantry here. But this one managing to get its miniguns on target. Now the Apache moving forwards. Pretty much uncontested now by AA. I've also got this Apache moving forwards with its Hellfire. The airborne engineers in the trees here going to be revealing the positions of enemy forces, and I'm going to be able to just push forwards really aggressively as a second Apache rocket comes in, and we start putting a lot of pressure onto our opponent in this valley. Look how cool that looks. One of these ground forces just getting annihilated. The 30 mils smashing the Mi-8 with the little bird. And that was a brutal series of events. We're going to be spotting the Sapperly here as well. MiG-23 MLD coming in with the strike. I'm going to want to get my Apache out of there ASAP. MiG is going to go down for that, but I do lose my poor Apache to the Su-25, and it's going to kill my little bird as well. Eagle comes over from Akarachai, and I've got my Eagles on the way to try and save the day, but this AH-64A Apache does get taken out, and the Eagles, well, they're just a little too late to the party, and that was definitely my bad. Like, I should have bought these almost immediately. I should have had them ready for that push, knowing that the only way that they could have really countered the helicopters at that point was aircraft. So they made the right play with those Su-25s to shoot down the Apaches, and I've lost all but one. I've got one Apache left. The little birds are all dead. A lot of my infantry that got overextended is now like not covered by the aircraft, so all of the tanks and stuff are doing a lot of damage. But I see an opportunity to go for a cluster strike, and the F-111's going to be coming in with the cluster there, and we're hoping to hit the T-80. I also have a second one on the way. Ideally these would have come in at the same time, but I bought one after the other, so they come in separately. MiG-31 coming in, lucky not to have my F-111 shot down. And now I have another Chinook on the way. I've already got through one supply, Chinook. Here's the second to resupply my Apache. But we managed to get the +1 ticking again at least. You know, that push through here did definitely put the pressure on our opponent enough. And you can see my sniper team here. He's made it all the way to the other side. I was struggling to spot him then, but he's camped out here by the tree. But all of my infantry currently moving back to resupply and just regroup, I guess. I'm having my LRS move up in the meantime. These are recon squads that have the M14 as well, so they can actually engage infantry at range at 1,200 meters if they need to, but otherwise are pretty good at close range with those Colt Commandos. Now, another play that I decided to make since I'd put the pressure on down this road is kind of exploit my position further to the left. So my airborne engineers are going to be coming in. I'm going to be supporting them with 2 Abrams because of course these don't have any AT. And I managed to get 3 squads around into the back of Leonidas's town. Managed to kill one of his T-62s. We're putting pressure on the BMPs. You know, we captured some of his supply vehicles. Just really being an annoyance for Leonidas here. All the while, just getting ready for another pushback if needs be on the right hand side. But the plan really here with the airborne engineers was to potentially find an infantry leader that I could kill, or at least spot it so that we could then kill it with something else. My M1 IP here really taking a ton of damage. But it is going to be surviving as I think my opponent ran out of ammunition. LRS now under pressure. Now, these do have AT launchers, I think, as well as the M14. You just can't see it. Maybe I'm not entirely sure. The LRS used to have it. Maybe they don't anymore. Anyway, I've got an M1 IP there supporting them regardless, or at least, you know, that's under pressure now because of the tanks nearby, and it does get taken out. With this M1 IP, that's going to be trying to do a runner. This one's now having to fall back. Gets hit in the side armor by a Fargot from the BMP 1P. And I'm just going to try and count on the M1 IP actually landing a shot, and he does manage to, heroically. You can see the airborne engineers here moving up is spotting the back line of Leonidas. So that's going to be helpful for targeting artillery and such. Now T-62 pushes up too far, bumps into my airborne squads. See, I've got my heavy hog now moving forwards. I've still got my Apache here. 50 cals holding the line against the infantry, which is nice. A couple more LRS on the way. So I was just dancing around in the town here, being as annoying as I can. I'm using his supply to keep my airborne topped off whenever I can. So that was really good. And now my opponent, MBK, going to be as cheeky as ever, using an MI9 to cap it right in my line of sight. The worst part was I couldn't even kill it because my TOW 2 is out of missiles. My Apache, I'm trying to sneak it forwards to engage the MI9, but there's a Tunguska. So I'm not going to be able to kill it with that. And a big waste on my part. That is a very, very valuable asset that I just lost. That's my last Apache that I had access to in this game. Now I realized going into the game before that I was a little bit short on Apaches. I have since fixed my deck. But yeah, not having enough Apaches in the 82nd Airborne is a death sentence because you really do need to have ways of dealing with the tanks, and the Apaches are one of the primary ways in which you can do so. So Airborne now getting forced back from this position by the Motorstrauki, the Rozvedka. My sniper still providing good information, now actually on the edge of the tree line here, watching out for enemies coming my way. This sniper actually hanging out with my toes to provide my 8 gems with information. And finally, we managed to get a TOW 2 onto the MI9. To take out that leader, you can see I pinged the leader over here that my airborne engineers spotted. I did actually spot that sooner as well. I spotted Leonidas' leader in one of these buildings, and then he moved it over to the left, so I chased it down with the airborne engineers and saw that. My airborne engineers slowly but surely being taken out now because the Mi-8T's obviously got its rockets on targets. But the whole time that this has been going on, Akarachai coming back strong with the M1A1HAs across the open here. This is probably one of the only tanks that would actually be able to push against the 39th like this across the open. And even like the 79th obviously we've got on the enemy team as well. Avenger looking for the kill. Fired a ton of missiles at that Mi-2. Finally shoots it down. My engineers here on the right hand side just constantly falling back. Su-25 coming over. Looking for kills there, but here comes the Eagle, takes that out. Cobra knocking out Motorstrauki. Yeah, I'm now moving through my Abrams once again. So the Abrams that I originally pushed through here, I pulled them back to the supply. And yeah, the engineers and so on going to be moving back forwards. Just get myself onto the edge of that tree line again. Heavy Hog's going to be providing some fire. It does have the Zuni rockets on this. Those 127mm rockets can pack a punch against enemy infantry for sure. So 50 cal engaging the Rozvedka, keeping those taken care of. You can see my TOW 2, so I've got to be a little bit careful. But at least I'm kind of able to hold here. And you can see the Heavy Hog able to get its rockets onto the Igla. Managed to kill the Igla just in time. Going to come back, try and get some more rockets, but the Chinook really getting drained hard. Airborne trying their best to hold the line here against the Motorstrauki, against the Rozvedka. And what is that? It's 105mm artillery. So we've set up some artillery back here, and we're going to be trying to use this to support our infantry now. You can see those shots coming in there. Not necessarily going to be like crazy strong, but any hits nearby should chip a little bit, and they'll definitely lower cohesion, which will give our units a good chance to get damage in. M1 IP manages to find a kill onto the Tunguska, so that was really nice. And we're able to find shots towards the BMP-2 as well. Covered by the TOW 2 if we need it, which is nice. And the H1F Cobra now moving up again. This time, because we know that the Tunguska has been killed again, I can be a little bit more aggressive than usual. We still need to find out what's counter-capping us, because whilst we are in the lead, 547 points, there is still a little ways to go in this game. You know, it's like 8 minutes 35 seconds. Kind of want a more convincing lead at this point, because it could very well be a draw. And well, it seems like I did enough damage, because MBK, my opponent, does end up surrendering. And with that, I get the green light to just put on the pressure, because I realise he mustn't have had much left at all if he ends up actually surrendering. So the M1 IP is now going to be pushing forwards aggressively. The heavy hogs pushing through, going to be using their Gatling guns to engage these units and take them out. And once again we're making another push down this valley with the helicopters, this time with tank support. My helicopter coming over, that's going to be a +3. I've also got a good position on the backside of this town with the M1 IPs putting pressure onto Leonidas. So we're in a great spot. And the push is only going to continue as we start to find more and more of MBK's infantry that was left over. We also spot a bunch of these supply vehicles. Now, my plan here was actually to land next to these supply vehicles and try and capture them. But then my H1Fs just decide, you know what, it's good target practice. So they just shoot them before I can land. Gonna go up here, take out those Motostrelki. And yeah, I'm just kind of cleaning house now against the AI. Su-25 is going to be coming in from Leonidas though, so I do need to be a bit careful with that. It can do a lot of damage. Takes out the recon helicopter. And my heavy hog's going to be doing a runner whilst the Eagle comes over the top here. Dropping plenty of missiles into that. And Leonidas also going to give up the game. And there you go. The 33-minute, 30-second game on Black Forest with the snipers. Good fun that was. That's for sure. 6,325 kills to 3,790 losses. Decent KD as well. That sniper was really fun to play with and really fun to watch. Managing to take out the first truck and then having to deal with that helicopter that was running around. Obviously the Mi-2 couldn't engage it with any weapons because it doesn't have any. But shooting it down like that was exactly like the movie shooter. It was really cool. H1F Heavy Hog actually getting quite a lot of kills in the end, and you can see the Apache going to work there as well. Claiming the T-80BK kill is massive because that pays off that very well. This Apache also paying itself off, killing a T-80BV and the T-62. Probably would have liked that to get more kills, but that's okay. And then this rocket Apache also getting plenty of damage in. The cluster did end up killing another of the T-80 BVKs as well, and one of the Eagles shot down 2 of the Su-25s in the end. It killed one to begin with and survived, and then killed the second one at the end there. This TOW 2, really good job of covering the main road with this. That was a really nice position, so I potentially recommend that to you guys if you're playing on this map. This sniper found itself an Igloo kill, which is always important. And the M102s that I brought in as artillery support definitely helped break a little bit of the infantry stalemates that do happen sometimes. And the other thing was taking out these Tunguskas. That was super important as well. So MBK maybe being a little bit careless with his AA, not really bunching up enough iglas in the same sort of area to take down helicopters efficiently, and I really exploited it in this game massively. But that is it for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.